Hi, my name is Kevin Fernandez.
And I'm Jordan.
And welcome to my channel, Gamers Genie. Today, we're going to talk about our top 10 favorite intro to board games, or as they're more commonly known as, gateway games. So I do want to give a little disclaimer before we dive on into our top 10 favorite intro board games. Me and Jordan did have a discussion before we started filming and everything that our lists should be unique from each other and we should not have any duplicates. We did that because we felt like if you are new to the hobby of board gaming, you should have as many options as possible. We're not saying you have to get every single game on this list. We're just saying there's a lot of options if you're new to the hobby.
Especially like we're trying to get my family to try out board games. Like some of them are new to board games or like they liked board games but got back into the hobby. So yeah.
All right. So with that out of the way, we're just going to dive right into our top 10 favorite intro board games.
So my number 10 is Elder Sign. And of course, this is a mystery game where we find Elder Signs to seal the HM1 while finding other monsters and investigating different places. And I love that game because I think that's the very first board game that Kevin and his dad ever taught me. And I played board games when I was a kid, but I didn't get back into board games until I started dating this guy. So I would thank them for that. And I do like a lot of mystery games, and I do did not know it was based on H.P. Lovecraft until those two told me. And I like Elder Sign, and I do recommend Elder Sign if you like mystery games or H.P. Lovecraft's books.
Okay, so my number 10 is The Sheriff of Nottingham by Cool Mini or Not. This is the Sheriff of Nottingham 2nd edition. The 1st edition is by Arcane Wonders. It is a bluffing game where you put goods such as cheese, breads, and other assortments into a bag. And then you tell the sheriff what you have in your bag. He will then inspect. He can then make the choice to inspect it or not inspect it. And if you were not bluffing, then you get all those points. But if you were bluffing and you have contraband in your bag, then you can walk away with some big points. Or if you were caught with contraband, you could get hit with a pretty big bill. I do like it. I do enjoy it. I feel like it's a very good beginner bluffer game. And it is fun for the whole family, especially for kids, because they get to lie to their parents on purpose and not get in trouble for it.
So my number 9 is Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters, which is a game where you're playing with 4 players, where you try to get the hidden treasure in the haunted house before the house gets taken over by ghosts, and you won't be able to collect treasures. I love that game because it was an anniversary gift from Kevin, and I thank him for that. And we played it out at Gen Con, and it was a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to play again with the expansion, because we played the game with the expansion. Creepy Crawl Cellar, yeah. I was about to say Creepy Crawler, but oh gosh, a Creepy Cellar, yeah. It adds like a lot, adds a challenge to the game, and plus it's a lot of fun. So if you're looking for Halloween, play board games on Halloween, that's a perfect game for that. Okay,
so my number 9 is Forbidden Island by Game Right Games. It is also a cooperative game like Jordan's game is back there. The goal is that you work together with different roles. I guess that would be the proper word. You have different roles, and you have to get off this island that is sinking, and you do that by getting 4 treasures, and then you have to get onto the helicopter pad and lift off. If the helicopter pad sinks, you lose. If all the pieces sink, you lose. If you can't get to a safe path to the helicopter pad, you lose. There's so many ways you can lose in this game, and only one way you can win. And it really makes you, and the whole time you're going through this game, the tide is rising, and it's one of my favorite games. Matt Leacock is one of my favorite game designers. I love his game series. With that, I love Forbidden Island, and then there's 2 sequel games to that. But I do feel like out of the 3, Forbidden Island is the best one for people who want to get into that sort of mechanic of game.
So my number 8 on this list is Obscurio, and Kevin and I played that game last year's Gen Con, which it is similar to Mysterium, but there's a big twist to it, which I like. It's like you're teaming up together to solve a mystery, except you would have to pick who's the traitor of the group, which I really enjoyed, and I love the artwork of this game. Like, each of the cards has a beautiful artwork, and that's an awesome mystery game. Like I mentioned, I do like a lot of mystery games, and if you're interested in that, you should check out Obscurio.
Okay, so my number 8 is Small World by Days of Wonder. I do like it. It's a great area control game. So if you enjoy Risk, this is definitely the game for you. One of the things I like about Small World versus games like there's a ton of area control games out there, but one of the things I like about this game versus a lot of the other area control games is you don't have to try to conquer the whole board. You don't have to try to get all those spaces and then go, oh my gosh, how is this game ever going to end? Instead, it comes with different board sizes, which means if you're playing with 2 players, you pick the 2-player board, so it's a little more smaller. If you have the 3 players, you get the 3-player board, gets a little more bigger, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger until you get to 5 players. Or if you got the 6-player board expansion, you can play up to 6 players, and then you have this big world you have to conquer. It doesn't seem so small anymore, but you do play based on the number of players you have, so it's very easy to learn. There's a whole bunch of cool, kooky combinations you can have for your characters and their abilities. It's a really wonderful game, very colorful, and I do highly recommend that you try that out if you do like that kind of risk factor in your board gaming experience. So yeah.
My number 7 on this list is Quest for El Dorado, which is a game where it's a race basically that you try to get to El Dorado first before all the other players. And what I like about this game is that you have to use cards that matches symbols on the board just to move around the board, and I find that really unique just because, like, if you don't have, like, for example, 2 swords with a forest background, if you don't have like 1 or 2 of them to make the movement, then you're stuck, which makes it really challenging. And I do like a good adventure games, and plus you get some cards that helps you out with it, like purchasing a specific item to help you get to El Dorado further. And yeah, it's a really fun game to play, especially when you're trying out the board game hobby.
Okay, so my number 7 is a game called Dominion. I've been playing this game for years. It's by Rio Grande Games. It is a deck builder game, just like El Dorado. I guarantee you we are not doing this on purpose. This we're not doing on purpose. Everything else was on purpose. This is the one part that's not on purpose. And what I love about this game is it's got a medieval setting to it. It's very medieval themed. However, it's a deck building game, and you're fighting against each other to trying to be the top and reaching that core goal of having the most titles, is what they call it in the game. And you got to collect all these titles. Jordan's never played this game yet. I do have the 2nd edition for Dominion. I have not tried it yet. I really should get around to doing it. But it is one of my favorite deck building games. It was one of the first games I played that got me into this more expansive hobby of board game collecting. It's what got me into to the different channels that I watch that cover board gaming. It really opened up the door to gaming in general for me. So I do highly recommend this to a lot of people who like playing with that kind of medieval theme, especially if you like deck builders. it's one of the best things is it takes away the player with the most money wins. Although granted, in that game it helps a lot to have a lot of money, but fictional money.
So my number 6 is Suro, and I feel like this would be a perfect game for beginners because it's the easiest game that's ever played, and it's also a quick one. Basically, what the purpose of this game is that you try to get to stay on the board the longest because you get different tiles that draws like a line, like a pathway, so you can stay on the board, but whoever's on the board the longest wins, and the ones that are off the board are losers, obviously. I think that's a perfect game for anybody who mostly just want a quick game to play if they say they have to work the next day but they want to play a board game, and that game is basically 15-20 minute game to play, and it's perfect for that. Or if you want to show someone who's have never played a board game in their life and just want to find a game that's a really easy game to play, I do recommend Sororo, and it's also it's just a very quick, easy game.
Okay, so my number 6, and this one will be for a lot of those people who enjoy Monopoly. As you know, Monopoly is one of those games that you walk around collecting property and making people pay for it. This game has some similarities, not very similar. It's called Raccoon Tycoon, and it's by Forbidden Games. I wanted to include a game by Forbidden Games in this list, and I feel like any one of their games that are out currently, and I feel like that includes Dungeon Party, is very simple. You can pick that up. You can pick up the game. You can play at least the basic rules. They even have advanced sets of rules to get more difficult if it's not quite what you thought it was going to be, if it's not challenging enough. What this game is though, is you get different types of goods. Like you can get iron, you can get coal, you can get wheat, you can get wood, you got goods and luxuries, and you can build up the stocks for that specific item, and then eventually you can sell it, make a lot of money. You can bid on a railroad, and they're all got these little cute little woodland animals, and it's got beautiful artwork as well. Very gorgeous, all hand painted, by the way, which I feel like is a little rare in a lot of board games nowadays, but it's actually getting more common, so I'm very thankful for that too. I do enjoy that game. I enjoy all of them, but definitely for my number 6, Raccoon Tycoon is my pick.
So my number 5 is Sushi Go. Basically, you're just collecting different foods that relate to sushi, like sushi itself or fried shrimp. You're basically trying to match each of the cards, and the more you collect, the more points you get. And of course, some of those cards have consequences where you lose points if you don't collect a certain number of them. But it's another quick game that I do recommend with beginners, another quick game to learn, and it's a really unique game, and I definitely really enjoyed the first time that I played it. And if you like food or just want to play a quick game, Sushi Go is a go.
Okay, so my number 5, if you are a big fan of the kaiju monster movie genre, or aka Godzilla, then this game is the game for you. It is called King of Tokyo. It is by Richard Garfield. If you are not familiar with that name, then you will know him as the creator of Magic the Gathering, the very first trading card game, where it was actually a big deal and everything. Yeah, he created this game. It's got wonderful artwork. This is great for all ages. It's got it's Godzilla, but the characters are a lot more cartoony and goofy, but it does also have some very serious kind of artwork in their cards. You roll the dice, you have to try to beat the crap out of your opponent. You can win by either collecting more victory points or by just beating your opponent to a bloody pulp. I like playing as Space Penguin. That's one of my favorite characters to play as in this one. It's very enjoyable. And I do recommend picking up a copy.
So my number 4 is Disney's Villainous. If you guys don't know what Villainous is, where have you been? And this game is where you basically play as different Disney villains to go against the heroes of their story or their realm. I do love this game because if you're a Disney fan, you definitely want to get this game just because there's so many. There's the main game and there's 3 expansions now. The main game is Villainous, obviously, and then the second one is something with
Wicked to the Core.
Wicked to the Core, thank you. And then Evil Comes Prepared, and then Perfectly Ratchet, and oh my gosh, of course there's the cool thing about it is Ravensburger is at the company's name. They actually let you pick which villains should be included in the next expansion. That's what's the awesome part. They actually let the audience pick which villain should be in the next expansion. And if you have a favorite,
12 vote.
Yeah, we all vote. And of course, I love playing different villains. I know I love playing Captain Hook because that's my favorite. But I also like playing Prince John, which is fun because each villain has their own goals, but you'll go against each other to stop each other from complaining and on to make goal. And if you're a Disney fan or just looking for a fun game that you can play up to more than 6 players, I do recommend Villainous because it is so much fun, especially playing as a villain.
Okay, so my number 4 is also by Ravensburger. It is Horrified. This is a really good game. It's where you are taking on the role of I guess you could call it an investigator or a hero or whatever you want to call them, and you have to defeat famous monsters from the old Universal monster movies, the black and white ones, not the ones that we've been seeing recently in the dark universe. These are from those old classic films that are still really good to this day, and it even tackles some of the stuff that you see from that just involves them all together, because one of the favorite movies I like to watch on Halloween is called Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein. And they do have their characters, Abbott and Costello's characters, from that movie in the game. And I think that's really fun. It's a very fun game for Halloween, or even if you just enjoy a good, classic monster thing, or if you're a big fan of Hotel Transylvania, blah, blah, blah. Horrified. Great game.
So my number 3 is For Sale. What's unique about this game? You're betting on the house, but you're also trying to sell the house at the same time. It's also another quick game, but I would have to be careful because you do not want to bet too much money because you would have to end up with a house that might not sell as much. But I do like that game. I do want to get it because Kevin and I have played it game night, and we really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, especially to see who would try to get the more money from which house that we were able to win or lose the bets. So if you like betting games, I do recommend For Sale.
Okay, so it was your number 3, correct?
Yeah, number 3.
All right, so my number 3 is the game Codenames by Chezik Games, and I do enjoy Codenames. I actually prefer the Marvel Codenames over the original, but the one I'm talking about right now is the original, where you get a grid. You get 2 people who are trying to give hints on the grid on what's the different code names, and each team has to kind of figure out what it is. If they get it right, you put a blue spy on there. If you get it. Or a red spy if they got the right one for the red spy, and then there's also certain neutral spies too that you play there too. I do love this. It's got a lot of replayability. It's very fun, especially for people who enjoy communication with each other a lot. It's a pretty good party game, I would say. Definitely a good party game, because I don't think there's that much of a limit to how many players you can play in Codenames. With the special versions of Codenames, like with Disney or Marvel, I do think that it does feel like there is a limit to the number of players, but with the original, it feels like you have a very limitless number of players, as long as you can even it out at the end. As long as the teams are even. I mean, I would kind of suck if you have a team of 9 on one side and then like a team of 7 on the other side. You would probably have to figure out how to even that out a bit. But yeah, Codenames. Check it out.
So my number 2 is Takinoko, which is a game where you try to feed the panda or help the farmer grow some bamboos, and it's a really fun game, especially when you have like different actions that you can do. You have different cards that, like, one of the cards is the bamboo that you're trying to collect, or how many bamboos in certain areas, and special and movements for the farmer and the panda, and of course it's a really fun game, and of course the panda is really cute, and I love cute animals when it comes to games, and I really think it's a fun game, especially like when you want an easy game that involves pandas, or just a game that is just a fun game for everybody, and I love Takinoko.
Okay, so my number 2 is it's a game I've been playing recently, so I think I was introduced to it last year. It's called Archaeology by Z-Man Games. Now, this is the revised version of Archaeology. There's an older version of Archaeology, but this is the revised version. It is fantastic. There's different types of like tombs you can choose from. You got to do a lot of set collecting, and the more you collect of a certain set, the more points you'll get when you sell that to the museum. You have to watch out for sandstorms, thieves. So many cool things can happen along the way, and you definitely are taking a risk. The more you're like, oh, I'm just going to keep digging, and then bam, that sandstorm hits, and you're like, uh-oh, there goes all my stuff. Especially if you get that Pharaoh's Mask, which is like the most coveted thing, because there's only 4 in the game, and there's no dupes. Once that's gone, it's gone. And that could really score you a lot of points. So after that, you just have to keep collecting chipped pottery over and over again. But yeah, Archaeology, Z-Man Games. Check it out.
So my number 1 board games for beginner is Ticket to Ride. I'm pretty sure Kevin saw it coming, that Ticket to Ride. I do highly recommend it. If you like traveling, Ticket to Ride is awesome. All you can do is complete routes of all over the United States, like say from Seattle to New York. You have to accomplish those that ticket before the end of the game, or else of course you're going to lose points if you don't complete a route, and of course you earn points when you complete a route. And it's a really fun game. I've played other Ticket to Ride games. I know they were a bit tough for me, but I still had fun playing on the original Ticket to Ride, especially like every time you play it, it's different every time. I mean, that's with every board games, but Ticket to Ride is my number 1 favorite game for beginners.
Okay, so my number 1 is a game called Ishtar, Gardens of Babylon by Yellow. This is my second game by Yellow. The first one was King of Tokyo. I don't think I actually mentioned who published the game, but I originally wanted to play this at Gen Con 2019. This was on one of my most anticipated, but unfortunately our experience waiting to play that game kind of soured our enthusiasm to play that game. But I bought it recently when this whole pandemic started and we were stuck in our houses. And I played it with my dad and I played it with Jordan, and we love this game. It is very fun. It's a tile placement game. This is my tile placement game. Jordan's is Takinoko.
Yeah.
It's a tile placement game. The goal is to fill these different tiles with these gardens and all these different like flowers. And the more flowers you have connected to each other, the more points you'll get at the end. And it's just really cool how it makes you think what you want to put down. So this one's still for beginners, but it does have a little more strategy than Takinoko into it. Takinoko has some strategy, but only if you keep getting those landscape cards in that. This one, there is no landscape cards, You just have to build. You can't have your garden touch somebody else's garden. You can't have your garden even touch your own garden, which is a little weird to me, but it makes sense because you don't want to like sit there and go, look what all I got right here. I got everything. This is all my land. You know, I'm building this garden right here. I do love it. The fountain's a good thing. You got to really watch out how you spend your gems though, because they can help you score points at the end. But you also want to get those trees, so those can help you score points at the end. And you can change your strategy to how you want this to scoring points at the end of the game, so you don't have to like, it's not a total, oh, I blew all my stuff in one move. But yeah, Ishtar, great game. Well, there you go. There's our top 10 games for beginners or gateway games or intro to board gaming, however you want to say it. That's just our top 10s for this. Any of these games that we just mentioned are available for purchase. You can go to Cool Stuff, you can go to Amazon, you can go to all sorts of different online stores and actual brick and mortar stores. They do sell it at Target and Walmart and stuff. So if that's where you get your board games, you can get the board games we listed right here. Villainous has now started to have like special Target editions of stuff. Like for example, the Perfectly Wretched does have a Dalmatian sleeve that it comes with. Jordan doesn't like that idea. I think it's pretty cool, and it gives you kind of an incentive to buy from Target. I mean, other than that, it was just like, I might as well have gone to another store, you know, because it was offering the same thing that Barnes & Noble was offering. So, but, you know, these games are super fun, and I just want to point out that even though we said these games are for beginners, you can keep playing these even if you start becoming more advanced of a gamer like we are. The more advanced you get, you can still, I mean, we're still finding ourselves coming back to these games. We've been playing Elder Sign for the past 3 days now. So.
Yeah, it's because we're playing the expansions and I'm so new to it, and I was like, are we gonna still playing Elder Sign because of expansions?
We've only gone through 2 of the expansions. We still have 3 more.
Yeah. Ooh.
We still have 3 more. We are on the Gates of Arkham. We're gonna go all the way up to Omens of the Pharaoh. We'll see if we can get that through.
It's still a lot of fun though. It adds more to the challenge to do a game, and of course there were other games that we want to put on the list, but these are the 10 that we came up with. But there are a lot more games out there for beginners, but this is our, like Kevin said, this is our top 10s list.
So if you are a more experienced gamer and you found that there's some pretty good beginner games and your list is a little more different than ours, please put it down in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think is a great beginner game for people. We'd love to hear that. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring the little notification bell to be notified when we release videos just like this. We also release how to play videos and gameplay videos, and a lot of the games we mentioned are featured on this channel. So feel free to check them out. Be on the lookout for our next top 10 list. I have no clue what that's going to be yet.
Whatever it's going to be, we'll let you know.
But until then, thanks for the views.